Wow, he actually left Miami. You're watching James Carter TV.
Yeah, looking like a trouble when I walked in the building. That mean I got something expensive. Know my friends, they killing. All these hoes I'm killing.
Hello and welcome to James Carter TV. Dwyane Wade actually left the Miami Heat. He is on his way to Chicago. He is now a part of the Chicago Bulls. This is probably my last free agency video that I'm making for this 2016 NBA free agency period, because mainly all the free agents have signed. The big one left is LeBron James. He's the big fish, but there are some nice little contributors, sprouted around everywhere. But outside of a potential Russell Westbrook trade, which, by the way, I made a video on, you should watch that, there's nothing else to talk about. So not only is this my last free agency video, this is probably my last NBA video for a while. So sit back, grab a beer, and enjoy it, because we probably won't be talking about the NBA very much after this video. Not only will I discuss the Dwyane Wade acquisition, I'm going to talk about all the major acquisitions since my day one video. Remember, I made a day one free agency recap last, Friday, and then I wasn't able to make anything over the weekend because I was working a lot. But I'm back now. We're going to talk about everything that I missed over the weekend, all the big transactions, not every little transaction, but all the big ones. And it'll be a lot, so you'll get your food's worth. You'll get you plenty worth. So go ahead, sit down and enjoy this. Let's talk about Dwyane Wade. Now, guys, I don't like the deal. Maybe not the deal itself in terms of money. I don't get the logic as far as the Chicago Bulls. I think they're nuts. I think they're absolutely insane. I think they're crazy. Look, if you're going to trade Derrick Rose, if you're going to let go of Joakim Noah, this is fine, because what you're saying is, okay, it's time to rebuild, it's time to reload, we are going to stink next year, and we're going to get a high draft pick in a stacked 2017 NBA draft, and I do mean a stacked 2017 NBA draft. I see a guy in Harry Giles that could be the next Chris Bosh / Amari Stoudemire, and I see a guy in Josh Jackson that looks like a young Kobe Bryant / D Wade. This is a draft that you want to be in at the top, baby. And the Bulls had a chance to say, all right, we're about to stink and see if we can get one of these players. And even beyond those two, there's about 7-8 players at the top of the draft that all could be potential all-stars. Lonzo Ball, Markelle Fultz, Jason Tatum, Malik Monk. The names go on and on and on. This is the draft that you want to be bad. You don't even have to be the worst team in the league. You can only be the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th worst team in the league. You're going to end up with a good player next year. This is the year to tank. It wasn't this 2016 NBA draft. It was a little bit of a risk. It was Simmons and Ingram and nobody else. This year's draft, 2017 draft, it's the year. The Bulls, they were trading everybody. They were saying, okay, Derrick Rose, see you later. They were saying, Joakim Noah, we don't care about you, fine. And they were looking to trade Jimmy Butler. They didn't. I said, fine. I thought the Bulls were going to be probably the 3rd or 4th worst team in the NBA, behind only the Brooklyn Nets and possibly the Los Angeles Lakers. I thought it was going to be the Bulls. And then now you're talking about the Bulls with Dwyane Wade. You could be a playoff team. I'm not going to say that it's confirmed, because right now I think you're very much on the border. Dwyane Wade at 34 years old, going on 35, is still a good NBA player. He's a guy that averaged a little over 19 points per game last season. That number will probably go down to maybe 18, because they're still going to need him to get a lot of volume, so it won't go down much, if at all. Maybe it'll even go up to 20. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that. But they also signed Rajon Rondo. And why? Well, what's the point of being an 8th seed, a 7th seed? What's the point? You're not going to win. So you actually have a chance to rebuild your franchise. You're renting Dwyane Wade and Rajon Rondo for 2 years for what? Yeah, you might make the playoffs, but who cares? It just doesn't make sense to me. You really had a long-term plan. All right, you want to stink? That's fine, because it's a plan. But this plan doesn't make sense to me. And from Dwyane Wade's perspective, it makes a little sense to me. He has a lot of heart towards Chicago. I'm not sure if he was born there. I think he was. At least he grew up there. I know that. And, he was a really big Bulls fan and whatnot. So I get it from his perspective. But from the Bulls, man, what y'all knew you were trying to rebuild, and then all of a sudden Dwyane Wade's actually on the market, and we're like, nah, we just want to be the 7th, 8th seed for maybe 1 or 2 years. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, 6th seed at best. The Celtics are better. The Raptors are better. The Hawks are better. These teams are better than you. The Pacers are better. The Cavs are better. I didn't say them first because I already know they're better. If you didn't know, now you definitely know. You're a 6th, 7th, 8th seed at best, and for what? It just doesn't make sense to me. The Rondo deal, in terms of numbers, yes, Dwyane Wade is probably worth $24 or $23.5 million, yes. So the numbers aren't bad, but Rajon Rondo, he got $14 million per year. He's worth that. He was pretty good last year. He averaged about 12 and 12. That's pretty good. I mean, he's not going to be a volume, value scorer for you, but in terms of being a guy that's a good, a facilitator of your offense, a little bit of a headache and can cause some locker room issues. And that's why I'm not predicting them to go to the playoffs, by the way, because I think it could blow up in their faces. I mean, this could blow up in their faces. But anyway, I like Rondo. I think he played well this year. And by the way, his three-point percentage is rising on up. He shot about 36% this year, and he shot the most threes he's ever shot in his career. So Rondo's really starting to pick it up. I like that, but man, I don't get the philosophy. We move on to Al Horford, who I wasn't able to talk about last Friday. He didn't sign until Saturday, and I thought it was too much money. Now, Al Horford's a good NBA player. I mean, he's a good NBA player. He's probably maybe a top 10 center, but not much more than that. A natural power forward that's had to play center the last couple of years. But when we're talking about 4 years, $113 million for a guy that's 30 years old right now, you're telling me 4 years down the road, he's going to be 34 years old and he's going to be making $30 million that year? Man, that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot. That's too much money. Especially the fact this guy got 15 points this year, averaged about 15 and 7. I mean, he's not going to go up. I mean, he may go a little up only this year because you're going to need him to. But 4 years from now, this guy's going to be averaging 13 and 6. And you're going to be wondering, why are we paying this guy 30 mil? He averaged 15 and 7 this year. So, I mean, it just doesn't make much sense to me. I thought it was too much money. In the short term, the next 1 or 2 years, you'll like it. Your team improved. I give you this. But, man, in 4 years, this is going to be a bad deal, believe me. All right, we move on. Mike Conley signs the richest contract in NBA history, 5 years, $153 million. And you're damn right, this is too much money. $30 million per year for Mike Conley, a guy that has never averaged more than 18 points per game, a guy that's a good defender and a good facilitator of your offense, but this is just too much money, guys. I think the Grizzlies are fine being the 4th seed for the Western Conference for the next probably 3 or 4 years, and that's fine. Just know that this is too much money. I don't hate it too much. I mean, I thought he was the 5th best free agent out there, and this is what he was going to get anywhere. But let's be real, it's too much money. We get it. All right, Lakers stuff. I'm a Laker fan. We're going to talk about some Lakers stuff. Luol Deng, 4 years, $72 million. I like this deal. Now, the question is now who's going to start, Deng or Brandon Ingram? I project that it's probably going to be Deng. But, man, Brandon Ingram is turning some heads in practice thus far from what I'm hearing. And I don't think they're just talking him up. I think it's genuine impressions Brandon Ingram is putting on this Laker organization. But, hey, remember, Brandon Ingram can play the 2. So you could have Russ with the 1, Ingram at the 2, Deng at the 3, Randall at the 4, and then Mozgov at the 5 with Jordan Clarkson coming off of the bench. Or maybe they just want to start Ingram at the 3 and then Deng on the bench, or Deng at the 3 and Ingram on the bench. We'll see how it shakes out. By the end of this year, though, Ingram will be starting somewhere. He's too good, he's too talented, and I think we're talking about a perennial all-star player. But as for Luol Deng, I like it, guys. He was good. He was really good in the second half of the season after the all-star break. Go look at the statistics. He was a big reason why the Heat turned it on late in the season and ended up being as high of a seed as they were. He was a big reason for that. They're going to miss him this year because now they're not going to look like they're going to be a playoff team anymore, the Miami Heat. And yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say. Oh, Lakers also re-signed Tariq Black. I was surprised. I like Tariq Black. You know, he works hard. He's a good guy, and he also was pretty efficient in limited time. Only problem is you have three centers. You have Timothy Mozgov, Tariq Black, and Ivica Zubac, who I like. So I don't get that. Although, you know, Black could have a little bit of a future at power forward. But I don't love that. I guess Ivica Zubac may have to sit in the D-League for a little bit, but I thought he could play. You know, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it shakes out. We also have Jose Calderon, who was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers gave up absolutely nothing. Absolute squadouche, nothing, zip, nada. They gave up nothing. And they got Jose Calderon in 2 future second-round picks. I mean, how can you hate this deal? The only thing this deal does, and it's so funny because I just made a Russell Westbrook trade rumor video. Russell Westbrook is off the table, and as I said, fine, because I have big-time faith in Brandon Ingram. I think Russell's good. I think he's probably going to cap out at about 21 points per game in the future, but he has a chance to beat Steph. He does. I mean, if anyone coming out after Steph has looked like Steph and has played like Steph since Steph Curry came out of the draft, it's D'Angelo Russell. He's literally almost the only point guard whose game resembles Steph Curry since Steph Curry was drafted. It is D'Angelo Russell. So he has that potential, but I'm not sure he's ever going to reach that, but he might. So, but Brandon Ingram, I'm high. I'm so high on Brandon Ingram. It's pretty ridiculous to me. What I keep saying is, look, if you thought Kobe was going to be Kobe before he was Kobe, you're a damn liar. You just have to take these guys with massive potential and hope that they work as hard as they can and reach it. And Brandon Ingram's potential is out of the freaking roof, and we'll just sit back and see how high it ends up to be. We move on. Trey Burke. You may say this isn't a big move, but it's a big move to me. Trey Burke traded to the Washington Wizards for a 2019 second-round pick. The Utah Jazz are oddly having some cap issues, and I really don't understand why. They signed Joe Johnson for 2 years, $22 million, and then I guess that put them in some trouble, so now they trade away Trey Burke, and I don't get it. Yeah, you have a little bit of too many guards, but I'm not trusting Dante Exum right now. I want to keep Trey Burke, but hey, it's a good backup point guard for the Wizards, and it hopefully will allow them to get back into the playoffs. They missed the playoffs this season, as I predicted, by the way, but I think they may be able to get back next year. We move on. Warriors made some moves. Some of you clowns need to shut up because I see you guys on my Kevin Durant video. You're saying, well, they can't afford to do this and that. No, you don't know how the cap works. They can afford to get guys, and they got guys. Zaza Pachulia, the first one of them. Zaza Pachulia. See, I'm talking too fast. Let me slow myself down. Zaza Pachulia had a great year last year for the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, not like a great center in the NBA, but in terms of being a contributor, being a starter, being a guy that helped their team, oh, he was really good. He almost averaged 10 rebounds in about 25 minutes per game. If you extrapolate that to 36 minutes per game, you're talking about a guy that would have got 12 rebounds per game, a guy that would have got you like 10 points, be a little bit of a rim protector. He's exactly what the Warriors need. He's Andrew Bogut, except Andrew Bogut has this big name, Andrew Bogut, and people for some reason look at this Andrew Bogut name and they say, oh, he's good. No, he's not. He's never been good. He's never been anything more than the 5th best player on any given team he's ever been on, and that counts for the Milwaukee freaking Bucks. I hate why people look at Andrew Bogut and they just get mesmerized. He's not good. And Zaza Pachulia will be everything Andrew Bogut was. And then they get David West for the veterans minimum. David West has a big sign across his chest. He says, we'll play for a championship. Just give me the veterans minimum. And they did. A great signing here. He was still very efficient in limited play last year for the San Antonio Spurs. I expect more of the same. And you expect Tristan Thompson to get offensive rebounds when David Elbow West is backing him down in the paint? I don't think so. Look out for this one in the NBA Finals. And then Sean Livingston, they re-signed to a 1-year, $5.8 million deal, and they get to keep him around, a key bench player. The Warriors bench, still the best bench in the NBA. Wow, what a good team. We move on. Dirk Nowitzki re-signs with the Dallas Mavericks, 2 years, $40 million. And wow, I mean, this is a high contract, man. For a guy that's 38 years old, it's too much money, but I don't care. You know, the Mavericks, they're kind of... They're like that team that's just trying to hold on. Like, yeah, we can still compete. We don't want to rebuild yet. No. They just keep holding. Dude, just let go, man. It's over. You're not going to compete. You should have started the rebuild this year. If you're a team in this little flux range, I'm telling you, this is the year to tank. This is my memo, man. I've been looking at these kids in the draft coming up, and I'm like, this is the year. The Mavericks, you have an opportunity to do it. But no, they re-signed Dirk. They re-signed Darren Williams. They re-signed Dwight Powell. They signed Harrison Barnes to a 4-year, $94 million deal. And you're still going to make the playoffs. Okay, you'll make the playoffs. But you'll end up regretting this in 2 years when you stink and you don't have a good draft to help you bounce back up. And by the way, that Harrison Barnes deal, I hate it. I'm not a fan of Harrison Barnes at all. He's never registered a PER at the average 15 level in the NBA. Never done it. He's not an efficient player. He's an overrated player. He's not a player that has any aggressiveness whatsoever. You've seen him play. You ever see any aggressiveness from this guy? All he does is just jack up shots because he just wants to jack them up, not because they make any sense or they flow with the game whatsoever. He stinks. I think he's really bad, and I think he's definitely worse than Chandler Parsons, who you could have signed to this very deal. I think it's a bad deal for the Dallas Mavericks. We have Pau Gasol going to the San Antonio Spurs. David West, you want to leave? I'm going to slide right in those DMs. And Tim Duncan looks to retire, so now Pau Gasol could potentially start at center for the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs are kind of caught in a frame where they're just going to have to try to beat Golden State. And they have the forwards. I mean, they have 3 forwards now in Kawhi, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Pau Gasol. But, man, good luck keeping up with that scoring that they're doing over there, because your boy Tony Parker is getting old and getting slow. And it looks like it's too late, my friends. Y'all need to find some guards quick. We have we already talked about Harrison Browns. We have Jamal Crawford, who signed a 3-year, $42 million deal to stay with the Clippers. I don't know where the Clippers found this money, because they're pretty close against the cap. I wouldn't have signed him, to be quite honest with you. I think the Clippers could have found a better option than Jamal Crawford at this point. Yeah, he's still a 6-man candidate, but yeah, I think the Clippers, just there's something wrong with that team makeup, man. And I don't know if it's Chris Paul or Blake Griffin or Jamal Crawford, but I'm starting to think it may be a little bit of combination of all of them, and I think they really need to retool. You know, having Jamal Crawford on for the next era, I probably wouldn't have done it, to be honest with you. The deal isn't bad, right? So it's only about a little more than $14 million per year. Okay, that's fine. In fact, it is $14 million per year, but yeah, I wouldn't have done it. All right, we move on to Eric Gordon, who signed a 4-year, $53 million deal with the Houston Rockets. And the Rockets weren't done yet. They signed Ryan Anderson to a 4-year, $80 million deal. They're trying to surround James Harden with shooters. Eric Gordon's an overrated shooter. I mean, he's not very good. He's a very average to below average starting shooting guard in the NBA. One of the most overrated players in the NBA, and he can't stay healthy. But if he does, okay, you know, you've got a player here. It doesn't make very much sense because Harden is a shooting guard. Eric Gordon's a shooting guard. So what are you doing? It doesn't make very much sense to me. I mean, yeah, he could be a 6-man for you, but you know, then you have Ryan Anderson. They also signed Nene. I mean, you're building a team of NBA players, but you're not going to be better than the 8th seed or 7th seed. So I don't get it. They were too late to the party in this free agency period to me. Bismack Biyombo, 4 years, $72 million deal. We knew he was going to get overpaid. He got overpaid. The Hornets, they're trying to remain a playoff team. I like Kemba Walker's progression. It's a little later than I thought it'd be. It took him until his 5th or 6th year in the league for him to finally really take a step up, but he's starting to do it. So I think they can still make the playoffs, but come on, guys. We know this is a bad deal. And we move on to Joakim Noah. 4 years, $72 million deal, the exact same deal the Hornets gave Bismack Biyombo, and it's a little bit of an overpay, but the Knicks, they're just trying to play, and Joakim Noah didn't play much this season, and if he would have, I think the Bulls would have made the playoffs. So, Joakim Noah is still a good NBA player. He is. Just don't rely on him to score, and they won't. They have Melo, they have Rose, they have Kristaps. So don't score, just down there, rim protect a little bit, and we'll be good. And I think it's a good deal, actually. Even though it's a little bit of an overpay, I like the mentality. I like the thought process here with the New York Knicks. So there you go. Those are all the big free agent transactions I wanted to discuss today. What were your thoughts on all these transactions? What were your thoughts on free agency as a whole? Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, James Carter TV, I'm out.